Most people wait until much too late to get started in the process, either thinking that it's just a mechanical thing, fill out the forms, take standardized tests, guidance counselors send transcripts, and I'm done. But if you don't start, and we have one parent here today whose their child's in the 9th grade, I have some students who come to me in the 7th grade, and I pick all their courses, advise them on all their extracurricular activities, advise them what they should do every summer, help with all the summer applications. So getting them game ready for this process is important, because think about it. You wait until you're a senior and you start saying, I'm going to put my portfolio together. What is out of your control? GPA is out of your control. Colleges look at what they term as a 6-semester GPA. Freshman year, sophomore year, junior year. That's what they'll make a decision on. So GPA is out. Curriculum, rigor of curriculum. How many AP courses did you take? How did you do in them? Grades in them? Again, you won't be taking the AP exams until May of your senior year. Decision's already made. Well, what did you do junior year? Important, right? So putting together the portfolio as early as possible is best. Now, if we waited till later, we can accelerate some things, but you'll see that colleges have a number of criteria they look at. And if those criteria are met, they'll continue reading the application. If they don't, then they stop reading and instantly reject. And I'll walk you through what those criteria are in a second. All right? So I usually try and start with a page that kind of says, why are you sitting here? So what are your concerns in coming to a session like this today? So many people have a concern about the process. I think a couple of people I spoke to already talked about the process piece. How do I get started? What do I do first? What do I do second? How do I build this thing in so I have a legitimate portfolio that I can then package myself, represent myself, position in? Reduce tension and stress. Are your children nervous? They nervous? Not as nervous as you guys, right? So the stress level becomes the parent's stress level, not the students. The students think they have unlimited amount of time. Oh, Charlie, I have plenty of time. Plenty of time. Until you don't have time. Then it becomes a stress fest. And then it not only becomes their stress fest, it becomes your stress fest. So starting earlier, planning it out, allow students to do it, redo it, and to make things as perfect as you can. It'll never be perfect, but you want to make it as perfect as you can. Your essays, the application, your resume, your activities, everything has to articulate that it matches what the college is like. College major. I'm probably not the counselor of choice for you and your children if you don't have a college, if the student doesn't have a college major. I think it's important that we start with a major because everything builds off the major. Picking the schools based on academic reputation by major or majors. It doesn't have to be just one, it could be a cluster. I had a phone conference this morning and the student was interested in STEM careers. We kind of talked about science, engineering, biology, math. It's pretty broad, but we narrowed it down to like 2 clusters that he had more interest in, math and engineering. So you kind of want to force your children to be thinking more major first, then the college. A lot of parents and the children start looking at college lists, academic reputations, generally. Like a school like Harvard, great school, right? Their STEM options are not as strong as a lot other places. Yeah, great pre-law, great pre-med, but engineering, computer science, I have options that trump Harvard and even Yale. And Princeton starts to have a little bit more. Penn has a lot more. Columbia has a lot more. But there's schools that have even better. MIT, Stanford, Caltech, Georgia Tech, Berkeley. Young man in the back is he's junior now, on the junior at University of California, Berkeley. Process is, it's complicated. It's probably way too complicated, unfortunately. It requires people to submit applications. It requires them to have people they rely on, like their guidance counselors, submit transcripts. You have letters of recommendation. You have SAT scores or ACT scores. You have subject tests. Yeah. So there's so many different pieces that students sometimes lose track of what I submitted, what I need to submit, when do I submit these things from a time perspective. So I'll talk a little bit about process. Admission criteria inside your folder. There is one of the inserts talks about what are the admission factors colleges look at by importance. So that we'll talk about a little bit more too. I'll spend some time on essays, what they are, how to complete them, some tips on getting started with themes, get started on the treatment of those themes, and why colleges have even had essays as a criteria. Interviews, all colleges do not interview. Some make it optional, some do require it, but knowing which ones require it, which ones make it optional, which helps your application if you interview, which schools it has no, like a Rutgers, our state university, doesn't interview, doesn't require interviews, and discourages interviews. So knowing where to place your, so if you visit Carnegie Mellon in the summer, they do require an interview. You can interview on campus while you're there, and an interview does help your application. There's an essay question on the application in the supplemental section. Talks about, tell me some things you learned about Carnegie Mellon through the interview. So it's worth doing. Now I know this is not a big deal to all of you because you're very wealthy, but paying for it. So a 4-year college education, what do you think the range is today? And it's only going to go north. So over 4 years, what do you think you're signing up for? Any guesses? Pardon me?
More than 100,000?
More than 100,000, yes. So, well, if you go state school in the state of New Jersey, you could probably, Rutgers now is $25,000 a year. So that's going to go north. That's tuition, room and board, doesn't count computers, doesn't count books, doesn't count student fees. So parking tickets. All those things rolled up, it's a little over 100,000. But the range now is about $300,000. And by the time you're finished, it'll probably be pushing $400,000 for 4 years. How many of you have more than one child? So it's a multiplier. I had 4. And I'm still alive to talk about it. So it can get pricey, it can get complicated, but you do it. You get through it, you pay for it, and you turn out successful.